Hello everyone, I'm back with another video, and in this video we are going to see how can we implement the tab bar badge count, something like this in .NET MAUI. So till now I'm using .NET 7 with this .NET MAUI app. .NET 8 is coming next month, but in .NET 8 also there is no direct support or direct implementation for this tab bar badges in .NET MAUI. So in order to achieve this, we need to write some custom code, this platform specific code for Android and iOS. So that's what we are going to see in this video. So let's take a quick demo of this functionality. So right now I'm on iOS. We can see I have created these two buttons, this current count. This is in sync with this tab bar badge. So on this cart right now there are no items, so we cannot see anything. Now if we try to increase the counter, you see now we have one item in the badge, so it is displaying here, and this current count also I'm displaying it in the page also. So for whatever reason you need this count to be displayed in the app, you can do that as well. So if I keep on increasing, you can see we can see the items increasing. We can decrease the items and we can see items are, the badge count is decreasing and this current count is also decreasing. And if we reach 0, then it got removed from this tab bar badge, because now there are no items. But you can modify it. If you want to display 0 or blank, then also you can see display that. Cool. Now if we go to cart, right now we have 6 items, current count is 6, and cart, this badge also 6. On this my cart page, you can list your items here, and then we have this clear button. If we press on this clear button, it is going to clear this count. So when the count is clear, now we don't have any value in that count, so badge is not there, badge got removed. And if we go to home, we can see that current count is 0. That means everything is in sync. Cool. So now let's check it on the Android. This is my Android emulator. Right now there are no items in the cart, so there is no badge. If we add first item, now we can see current count is 1, and we can see this badge here. So we can keep on increasing this counter, we can decrease it, so we can see these are in sync and items are getting removed. And if I reach 0, then there is no badge, because that does not make sense if we don't have any item. Now let's go to cart. We have this clear. Same thing, if we press on clear, then there are no items in the cart, so badge got removed. On home, we can see this current count is 0. So this is what we are going to implement in this video. And the most common use case for this badge numbers is this cart basically, and maybe notification. And if you can think of any other use case, do let me know in the comment, so that I would also know that okay, we can use this badge for this particular purpose also. Cool. So let's start implementing this. So I have created this project, this .NET MAUI app using .NET 7. I have added these 3 images here in this images folder: cart.svg, home.svg, and user.svg. These are for displaying the tab bar icons basically. I downloaded these from boxicon.com, so you can download these from there if you want. And then on app shell, let's start creating our tab bar. The first thing, let's say tab bar, paste this, and I created these 3 pages. This cart page.xml, main page was already there, profile page.xml, right? So these 3 pages, now we'll use these. So first is title, home, main page. This is fine. Let's copy this 2 more times. First one for our cart, third one for our profile, like this. And let's add icons to this. So for home, we have this home icon. For cart, we have this cart icon. For profile, we have this user icon. Let's change the pages. So this should be cart page, this should be profile page. And let's change the routes as well. So this will be profile page, and this is going to be cart page. So right now everything is simple. On main page I have changed this title to Badge Counter app and modified this label with this text, welcome to Tabbar Counter Demo app. That's all what I have did. So let's run it on Android. First we'll implement this on Android, then we'll implement it on iOS. Okay, app is running. So this is how it looks on Android. So we have these three tabs: home, cart, profile. We can see the icons and this text. Nothing fancy so far. Great. Now let's start working, adding the tab bar. So for this, what we need to do, we need to modify the default appearance of this bottom tab bar. So for this, what we are going to do, in the platforms folder, in Android folder, let's create a new file. This should be a class, or let's say a new class. And for this, let's say tab bar badge. The name is up to you, whatever you want. So tab bar badge renderer, something like this. Cool. Now this should be a derived class of shell renderer. Shell renderer from Net MAUI controls handlers compatibility. Cool. And in this we need to override one method, and that method is create bottom nav view appearance tracker. This one, because this is inside bottom nav view, so we need to use this. Now it returns an implementation of I shell bottom nav view appearance tracker. So we need to provide our custom implementation to this interface. So for this, what we can do, we can create a class here with our custom name. So let's say shell bottom, or maybe let's say badge shell bottom nav view appearance tracker. The name is up to you, whatever you want you can name it. And then we are going to implement this interface, or we can do, there is this class shell bottom nav view appearance tracker which .NET MAUI provides. So this is the default implementation. We can use this one. So we are going to use this one. So we are inheriting from this, we are extending the functionality using our own class. Now why is it, can we have it same in save line? Yes, now cool. From this it needs a constructor, so let's add that constructor. That constructor is this default constructor. It takes two parameters, I shell context and the shell items. So we are good with this. Inside this we have one method by which we can modify the appearance, and that is the set appearance. So inside the set appearance we are going to have our logic to add the badge basically. So for this, after the set appearance bottom view appearance, we are going to add our logic, and our logic is going to be, first we need to get a badge view, so that we can get from this bottom view dot, we have a method get or create badge. Inside this we need to pass the menu item ID. This is basically the index of the tab bar item on which we want to add our badge. So in our case that is the second one. So we can say const int, and let's say cart tab bar item index and 1, because in our tab bar this is the second item and the index is starts from 0. So 0 1, that is the cart. So let's use this one, index, and like this. Fine. And now we have this badge drawable. So we'll say word badge drawable view. Cool. Now if we see this on this badge drawable, we have couple of properties on this. First is number. So this number, we can set this number to whatever value we want. Let's say 10. And then on this, we can also set the background color, which is, let's say, colors dot red dot to platform. To make this colors dot red, this is coming from .NET. Using to platform, it converts this color to platform. We are currently on Android platform, so it converts this color in the format which Android knows. So let's add the usings for this Microsoft MAUI platform, and we are good. And we can set the badge color as well, the badge text color. So we need background color to be red and we need foreground color to be white. So we can set this white dot same to platform like this. Cool. Now if we run it, but before that let's add all the pieces. So this thing, instead of returning this base create this default, actually we need to return our implementation, which is this one. So from this, let's say new badge shell bottom nav view appearance tracker. We need to provide two values. First is shell context, that is this, and then second one is shell item. So this shell item, we already have it as a parameter to this method, so we can pass this directly here. Cool. Now we have this implementation. Let's use this implementation in our MAUI program. So in MAUI program, somehow we need to tell the .NET MAUI that you should not use the default implementation, you should use the implementation we are providing. So for that, we need to add our handler mappings to our .NET MAUI app. So after this, in MAUI program.cs, after configuring fonts, we can say configure MAUI handlers. And from here, we can set our handler h.add handler, and it has two generic parameters. First is t type, second is t type render. So the type is shell and the t type render, this is the implementation which we are providing, that is this Tabbar badge renderer. Now it is coming from this platform Android and it will not be available on iOS and other platforms. So let's do one thing. On this Tabbar badge renderer, let's remove platform.android namespace. Let it be in the default namespace, app names namespace. And on MAUI program, we can remove this namespace directly. Cool. So we have added this. Now we are good. But there is one problem. This belongs to Android only. So what we need to do, we will add conditional compilation here. So we'll say if this is Android and if, then only do this. If this is not Android, don't do this. So let's try to run it and let's see how this app looks with this default badge with the default value 10. So app is coming, let's see, and boom, we have this value here, right? Cool. Now we need to make it dynamic, but before that, let me show you something. So if we go here, if we come here and let me add a breakpoint here on this set appearance. So right now we are on home. If I pressed on cart, then breakpoint hit, continue, and let me add this in the constructor as well. Now I went to profile and breakpoint hit, it did not hit for this this constructor, but it hit for this method only. So let me continue. Go to home and then set appearance, again triggered. The constructor did not trigger. So the point here is this is going to be run again and again, but that is not what we want. We can simply have this badge drawable once and then we can simply reuse it, right? So for this, what we'll do, the type of this is badge drawable. So we can have a private variable here. So we'll say badge drawable, and this should come from Google Android material badge like this, and this should be nullable. We can say badge drawable like this, and then inside this, first we'll check if this is null, then only do all this thing. So this will be executed for the first time, and after that we will have value in badge drawable. So let's remove this wire from here. Now we will have value in this badge drawable. Then whenever it is coming for the second time, it will not pass this condition, so it is not going to execute this code. So this is more efficient now. Now one more thing, we should remove this badge drawable, or maybe it will be automatically disposed, but okay, let's make it dynamic now. Everything will work as expected. Now this 10 value, we need to make it dynamic. Now in order to make it dynamic, it will be we need one mechanism by which we can trigger the value change from anywhere in our app, and it should pick up that value here. And if you remember, I showed you the demo, it should pick up in pages as well. So for this, there could be multiple approaches. The simplest approach I am using, I'm creating a new class on the root, and let's say badge counter service, something like this, and I'm making it static. Let's remove this constructor, we don't need this constructor. Inside this, what I'll do, I will have a public property. So public int, let's say count, this should be static. So public static int count get, and let's use private setter method here, so that we can modify this in from this badge counter service only. So we will have the we know that we have this single source of truth. Now let's have a method here, public void set count, and here we will get a count value from the caller, and we are going to set this count to this count. Cool. Private static like this, set count. Now we are good. Next thing, whenever this count is changing, we need to notify the, so any page or that bottom tab bar, that badge, it will subscribe to this count change, and from this count, whenever this count is changing, we need to notify that change. For that, what we'll do, we'll create a public static event here, public static event, and this is going to be an event handler of type int. So we'll say count changed. So whenever this value of count is changing, we need to trigger this count change event. For this, let's modify this count property to be a full property with that breaking field. So private static int underscore count, and from this get, we will directly return this underscore count like this. And from this private set, what we'll do, first we'll set this underscore count to value, whatever value we are setting. After this, we are going to notify the changes for this. So we'll say count changed dot invoke sender. In this case, let's use there is no sender sorry, and that int e, this is the count value. So let's use this underscore count. Cool. So whenever this count is changing, we are invoking this count changed value. Save everything and we are good now. Now let's use these two things. First, let's go to our Tabbar badge renderer. Here in this badge drawable, when we created this badge drawable, after creating this, what we'll do, we'll say badge counter service dot count changed. Whenever this count is changing, we need to do some logic. So let's say on count changed. Let's create a method here. So this is going to be a private void on count changed with nullable object sender and int new count. From here we need to do the same thing, copy and paste. Now we are repeating this thing, so let's create a new method here. So here we'll say private void and we'll say update badge, and let's fetch get a count from here. Cool. In this first thing we'll check if this count is less than equals 0. So we don't want to display this badge count here, right? Before doing this, let's have conditional check here. So we'll say if badge drawable is not null, then only execute whatever code is in this update badge. Cool. So if count is less than equals to 0, we can say badge drawable dot there is one method set visible, so we'll say false. So that means if the value is 0 or less than 0, we don't want to display this badge. Now next case, if count is greater than 0, then actually we want this code to run. Okay, so instead of using this number 10 hard coded, we'll use this count. Cool. Now we need to call this update badge from our event with this new count which we got from that badge service, and same thing we are going to use in here when we are creating the badge for the first time. So this time we can set on count changed. Here we could say update badge with 0. So I think everything is fine in this. Now we don't need to touch this file. There is one more thing. We are adding this event handler, so it's always a good idea to remove any explicit event handler we have added, right? So on this file, what we'll do after everything, we will override a method, that is this dispose method. So here we'll do the opposite of this, badge counter service dot count changed. So we'll say minus equals. That means we are removing this event handler from this. Cool. Everything is fine. Now let's go to main page, which is our home page. On home page we have this counter button. So let's copy this counter button. Let's remove this counter button. We don't need this name, right? On the first button, let's say increase counter, or let's say increase badge count, and the second button we'll say decrease badge count, like this. Okay, now let's change these methods. So we'll say increase badge count clicked, and on the second one we'll say decrease badge count clicked. Decrease badge count clicked. Cool. We'll create these methods, but before that let me add a new label here. We'll say a text, and let's say the default value current count 0, because there is no current count. Let's use a x name so that we can use this label to modify the value. So let's say counter label, like this. Cool. And let's move it to horizontal option as center as everything else. Great. Counter label. Let's try creating these methods in its code behind. So main page .xml.cs on counter clicked, rename it to increase badge counter click. Now we don't need this count, so remove this. We don't need all this logic, remove everything. Okay, now let's copy this method and use this decrease badge counter clicked like this. Cool. Now what we need to do from here, whenever we are increasing the count, we'll say badge counter service dot set count, and in this we will get the previous count and we'll increment it by 1. We could have some helper methods there to increment and decrement, but I'm using this raw format. And inside decrease, we'll simply negate it. Great. Now, one more thing. We'll set this count changed event handler here on count changed. So let's create a method here for this. So we'll say private void on count changed with nullable object sender and the new count like this. And if this is coming, then we know this label which has this name as counter label, we can modify its value. So counter label dot text equals, we can say current badge count is this new count, right? And now we are adding this event handler, so it's good to implement iDisposable and implement the method public void dispose, and from here we will do the opposite of this. So count changed minus equals, we are removing this. Everything should work fine now. Let's try it out. So let me stop everything, save all and run it. Right now we are on Android, so let's see, it should work fine on Android. We have this breakpoint, constructor, continue, set appearance, continue. Okay, current count 0, everything is 0. Let's click on this, increase badge count. We can see 1 2 3 4 5 and nothing is happening here. That means we are missing something. Let's see what are we missing. So whenever this count is changing, we are saying update badge. Let's add a breakpoint here. This breakpoint got hit. Okay, then what's the issue? Stop and rerun. I have that breakpoint, right? Let's add that breakpoint here. Okay, constructor, set appearance, update badge. So we'll okay, I see what the issue is. So do let me know in the comment if you can figure out what the issue is. The issue is here in this update badge method only. Okay, let me fix that issue. Do let me know in the comment if you were able to figure out the issue. So if the count was less than equals 0, that is the default. First time the count is 0, we are saying that this should not be visible. After that we increased the value, then it came to this one, we modified everything, but we did not change the visibility. So here we'll say set visible true. So that was the missing piece. Save everything. Now I don't think we need these breakpoints, so let's remove all these breakpoints. Remove, let's run it. It should work this time. Okay, app is loading. Cool. Increase, yeah. And you see 12, 12, everything is working. If I go back to 0, now that is gone, right? And if I keep on pressing, this is less than 0, which should not happen. We should have this condition whenever we are modifying the counter on our badge count service, or maybe from main page.xaml.cs. So I'm not going to do it. You can do it as per your requirement. So now we are good, right? We can modify this, we can go to other pages. It's fine, and it is looking fine. Great. Now let's go to this one, this my cart, and let's add that toolbar item here, and from there we will reset this value. So for this we'll go to our cart page.xaml, this one. Inside this, let's say content page dot toolbar items, and we are going to add a toolbar item here. So toolbar item with the text as clear and with clicked event. Let's go to this here, and from here we can say badge counter service dot set count 0. Cool. Let's stop it and run it. So it should work. Okay. Cool. We can increase the value, we can decrease the value. Let's go to cart page, we can clear the value, and we are good now. Cool, everything was great. Now let's move to iOS. Let me minimize this, change this to my iPhone simulator. Let's first run it. This is the previous app, I guess. So this is on iPhone simulator. Let's see. So everything is fine on cart, on here, increase badge count. So we can see this count value is modifying as expected, but we cannot see that badge here. That's because we have not implemented it for iOS. Cool. So let's start implementing it for iPhone. So we need to do the similar thing we have done for Android. Let me copy this name, Tabbar badge renderer. Oh, let's do this. Tabbar badge renderer, copy, go to iOS folder and create a new file here, new class file. Tabbar badge renderer, same thing. We'll remove this namespace. We'll have the app name namespace only, like this. And this should again going to be the same implementation of shell renderer. Cool. And now for iOS we need to override a method, and that is going to be create create tab bar appearance tracker. This one, we need to create a tab bar appearance. Back. Before modifying this, let's go to our MAUI program, and in here what we'll do, we'll going to add an elif method, else if, and here we'll say if this is iOS, and if, then do the same thing like this. Right now the names are same, that's why we can have this like this, but or we can simply use this. Let's say if Android or iOS, we can do this as well. If this is Android or iOS, then only we need to do this. If you have different names and different implementations, then you can have that long form. So if Android, add this handler, else if iOS, then add this handler. So you can do that as well. For now, I'm using the same name, everything is same, so I can use this thing. Cool. Now let's go to Tabbar Badge renderer from iOS. Cool. Here again, we need to have this I shall Tabbar appearance trackers implementation. So for this, we'll do the similar thing. We'll create a class here, and let's call it same. We have badge shell bottom navbar. Okay, let's do the similar approach. So we'll say badge shell Tabbar appearance tracker. Okay, and we need to implement this, or we can use the default implementation as parent class for our class, that is shell Tabbar appearance tracker, like this. Great. Now inside this we need to override a method, and that method is update layout. So this is the method we need to do. In this, after calling this base update layout controller, we need to get the menu item for which we want to add that badge. So let's go to the Android and let's copy this line, const int cart Tabbar item index. This is the first index, and now we will get our cart Tabbar item, or let's say cart Tabbar item, like this. And this we can get from controller dot. On controller we have Tabbar, and on Tabbar we have items collection. Okay, and on these items, this is nullable, so let's use this. And from this we'll use cart Tabbar item index, like this. Now we have this cart Tabbar item. Here we'll first check to be sure this cart Tabbar item is not null, then do something, and that something is to bind up the badge functionality. Okay, so we'll use the similar approach. We'll have a method here, private void, let's say update badge. We'll use a int count, and here we'll check. Okay, we need to get this thing, so let's have this here. So we'll say private, and this is of type UI Tabbar item. So we'll say cart Tabbar item, like this, and we'll use it here when we are doing this. And first, so this update layout, this is again going to be executed multiple times, so we just need to check if we don't already have value for this. So we'll say if this cart Tabbar item is null, then only execute this further code. We have the index, we have access to this cart Tabbar item, so now this should be this cart Tabbar item, like this and like this. And after this we'll use same this update badge with 0. This is the default. And here in update badge, first thing we'll check if we have value for this. So this, if this is not null, then do something, and that something is going to be if this count is less than equals 0, then we don't want that badge, and if this count is greater than 0, then we need that badge to be displayed here. So for this displaying the badge, what we can do on this cart Tabbar item, we have a property which is badge value, which is a string property. So we can set it count dot toString, like this, and then we can set the color for this. So this is badge color, and here we'll say the same thing, colors dot red dot to platform, like this. Let's add the namespace, and we are good. There is no set visible property, set visible method here. So instead of set visible, what we can do to hide the badge if the value is less than equals 0, we can set it to null. So if badge value is null, iOS is not going to display the badge. Great. This is fine. This is fine for the first time. Now we also need to have that dynamic thing. So we'll say batch service dot count changed dot plus equals on count changed. Same thing. And let's implement this method, or maybe let's copy the method from the earlier implementation. This is going to be same. There is no change in this, like this. And same thing for dispose. We can use this to dispose it. So everything looks fine now. Let's give it a try. Before that, let's use this from here. This tabbar shall renderer, tabbar batch renderer. We need to return our implementation, which is this. Let's run it. We are on iPhone. Cool. Okay, app is here. Let's try it out, and boom, we have this value. Let's keep on decreasing, and boom, after 0 we cannot see that. If it is greater than 0, then we are going to see that. Now let's go here, clear this. It got cleared, so everything works same. Let's try it out on Android one more time, so that we'll be sure that nothing is breaking. App is coming up. Okay, and it works, and cool, it works same, clear, great, everything still works fine. So this is how we can implement custom tab bar badges for our .NET MAUI app. So please like this video, share this video, subscribe my channel, and do let me in the comment if you are already aware or familiar with this approach, or what do you think about this approach. Okay, so I'll be back soon with some other video. Till then, bye bye.